While Oregonians pride themselves on recycling, some officials are saying, though, that there are folks who are taking advantage of that by bringing out-of-state bottles into our state across the border to cash in on our 10-cent bottle deposit.
And it's costing the state tens of thousands of dollars. But is it illegal? Our Kristen Severance is here to verify. Kristen?
Yeah, so last year, Oregon's 5-cent bottle deposit doubled to 10 cents. So the returns this year have skyrocketed. More than 500 million containers have been returned. Now, many of the people returning those bottles and cans live in Washington. Joel Schoening from the Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative says they should not be doing that. Because if you buy your bottle or can in Vancouver, you're not paying the 10-cent deposit. So when you drop it off in Oregon, you're being refunded for a deposit you never paid. But here's the thing, while it's strongly discouraged, we can verify it's not illegal. Bottle drop machines will recognize some out-of-state bottles and reject them, but not all out-of-state bottles. And workers at the bottle return locations can reject cars with Washington plates. The OBRC didn't have exact numbers on how many people are doing this, but enough that they are trying to come up with a way to monitor the system. Senator Betsy Johnson says she'll introduce a bill that would punish people who return bottles brought outside of Oregon. But again, we can verify it's not illegal, but state officials say you really shouldn't do this. Back to you.
A part of me wants to say, well, at least they're recycling, but then the other part says, don't take advantage of us, right? I don't know. Kristen, thank you.